The objectives of this lesson are to learn about the precedence of Python operators and also learn more details about arithmetic operators by using hands-on examples. Let me start by mathematical operators, which we talked about last time. Let me open the Python IDLE and put this table side by side. I'm going to show you the example of each of these operators one at a time. The operators such as plus, minus, and multiplication, of course, are very obvious. For example, when I say 3 plus 4, this is the plus operator. Or when I say 7 minus 3, this is the subtraction operator. And of course, when I say 3 times 5, this is multiplication operator. As I mentioned in the previous lesson, there is also a unary operator. A unary operator is something like minus 9 plus 3. Notice that in here I have a unary operator and I have a binary plus operator. And of course the answer is -6. Next, let's talk about the division operator. The trick about the division operator is when you divide 3 by 2, in the previous Python versions, it only shows you the integer part of it. But after Python 3, this division will show you the floating point result, which would be 1.5. So you have to be careful. If you are using any Python version before Python 3, 3 divided by 2, the answer would be 1. The next operator is the modulus operator. The modulus operator shows you the remainder of x divided by y. For example, if I say 9 modulus 4, that basically means it will divide 9 by 4, which gives you 2. And then the remainder of that would be 1. So the answer is 1. Another example, 15 modulus 4. What do you think would be the answer? Of course, the answer is 3. Because when you divide 15 by 4, the integer part is 4 times 3 is 12, and the remainder would be 3. Now, the floor division gives you the whole number when you divide a number. For example, if I say 9 divided by 2, the answer is 4, rather than 4.5. As you can see, it divides 9 by 2. The answer is 4.5, and it takes the whole part of it, which means the 0.5 is not included, so the answer is 4. Notice that if I say 9.0 divided by 2, even though the answer is a floating point number, however, it is still the whole part of the number. So when you use the floor division, if one of the numbers that you use is a floating point number, the answer would be a floating point number, but it still would be the whole part of the number. And last, we have the exponent, which shows you a number to the power of another number. For example, 2 to the power of 3, of course the answer is 8. The arithmetic operations are very easy to learn. However, there is another point that I should mention, and that is the precedence of operators. Let me start by giving you an example. Imagine that you type something like 2 plus 3 times 4. Now, what did you mean by this? Do you mean that you should add 2 plus 3, which is 5, and then multiply it by 4, which the answer would be 20? Or did you mean that you should multiply 3 times 4 and then add 2 to it? You see that if you perform the addition first and then multiplication, the result would be different if you perform the multiplication and then the addition. And the rules which are followed by Python to determine which operator should be performed first are called precedence rules. This table on the left shows you the rules for precedence, including mathematical and logical operators, and the one on the top has the highest precedence. That means it will be performed first, and then the next one, and the next one, and so on. Now if you go to Python IDLE and look at the symbols, you will see that the multiplication symbol has a higher precedence than the plus symbol. That means when you do this, Python automatically takes the multiplication first and then performs the addition. So the answer, of course, would be 14. Let me give you another example. Imagine you typed something like 3 times 3 raised to the power of 2. Try to guess the answer for this operation. If you multiply 3 times 3 first and raise it to the power of 2, then the answer would be 81, because that would be 9 to the power of 2. However, if you raise the 3 to the power of 2 first, that would be 9, and then you will multiply it by 3, so the answer would be 27. If you look at the Python operator's precedence, you see that exponential has the highest precedence, and of course the multiplication comes after it. So in this case, 3 will be raised to the power of 2 first, and then will be multiplied by the other 3, which the answer of course would be 27. My recommendation for you is to always be explicit about what you intend to do and use parentheses when needed, so there would be no mistakes by other people who look at your program. For example, if I meant to say 2 plus 3 times 4, this makes it very obvious what you intend to do, because what is inside the parentheses would be performed first. So in this case, of course, the answer would be 14. However, if you really meant to add 2 plus 3 first and then multiply it by 4, then of course the answer would be 20. Or in the other example, if you mean 3 times 3 to the power of 2, then the answer is of course 81. However, if you say 3 times 3 raised to the power of 2, and the answer would be 27. Again, my advice to you is always use parentheses to explicitly say what you mean. Here is the operator's precedence table again. You don't have to worry about memorizing any of this. As time goes, you will get familiar with this automatically. On the other hand, if you use parentheses, there is no need for you to even worry about this table. There is one more point that I want to make sure that you see in this table. You see that the plus and minus sign are mentioned in the second row and also in the fourth row. And you might ask yourself, how come there are two versions of it? Make sure you understand the ones which are in the second row of precedence are unary plus and unary minus. However, the ones which are on the fourth row, they are addition and subtraction. In the next lesson, I will talk about the relational operators in Python.